Captain Lisa Harper stood on the bridge of her ship and watched Earth die. The blue planet that had been home to billions now burned under the enemy's weapons. Massive ships from the hegemony floated in space like dark clouds, raining fire on every city below. Lisa's hands shook as she gave the order that would save thousands, but abandon millions. "All ships, begin evacuation protocol 7, she said into her communication device. Her voice stayed calm even though her heart was breaking. Around Earth's orbit, hundreds of human ships moved into position. They were not warships built for fighting. They were transport vessels, cargo haulers and passenger liners pressed into service for humanity's darkest hour. The hegemony had come without warning 3 days ago. Their message was simple and cruel. Humanity had grown too fast, learned too much, and spread too far across the galaxy. The older civilizations that ruled space had decided humans were a threat that needed to be removed. Earth would be made an example for any other young species that might think of challenging the established order. Lisa's ship, the New Dawn, was one of the largest evacuation vessels. It could carry 50,000 people if they packed them in, tight. She had been a cargo captain before this war started, moving supplies between human colonies. Now she was trying to save her entire species from extinction. "Captain, we have incoming refugees from the surface," reported her communications officer, a young woman named Beth. "The shuttles are full beyond capacity." Lisa nodded and looked at the main screen. Earth was covered in orange flames and black smoke. The great cities where humanity had built its civilization were being turned to ash. New York, London, Tokyo, and 100 other metropolitan areas were burning simultaneously. The hegemony was thorough in their destruction. "How many ships have we lost?" Lisa asked her tactical officer. 17 evacuation vessels destroyed, Captain," came the grim reply. "The hegemony is targeting any ship that moves too slowly." Lisa felt anger rise in her chest. The enemy was not just destroying Earth. They were hunting down defenseless civilians trying to escape. This was not war. This was murder on a scale that defied understanding. The bridge doors opened, and Commander Maya Brooks entered. Maya was a military strategist who had been visiting Earth when the attack began. She had been helping coordinate the evacuation efforts across all human space. Her uniform was dirty, and her face showed the exhaustion of 3 days without sleep. "Lisa, we need to make a decision," Maya said. "We cannot save everyone. The hegemony fleet is moving to block the outer jump points. If we do not leave soon, none of us will escape." Lisa stared at the tactical display. Red dots showed hegemony warships moving to surround the solar system. Each dot represented enough firepower to destroy a dozen human ships. The math was simple and horrible. They could save some people or lose everyone. "Begin final departure." "Sequence," Lisa ordered. "Signal all ships to make best speed to jump point 7. As the human fleet began to move away from Earth, something unexpected happened. New contacts appeared on the sensors, but these were not hegemony ships. They moved differently, with elegant curves instead of straight lines. Their hulls seemed to shimmer like they were made of living crystal. "Unknown vessels, this is Captain Lisa Harper of the Human Evacuation Fleet," she broadcast. "Please identify yourselves." A new voice came through the communication system. It was musical and strange, speaking accented English. "Captain Harper, I am Princess Lyrian Starweave of the Sylvani Empire. We have come to offer assistance to your people." Lisa looked at Maya with surprise. The Sylvani were elves, an ancient species that humans had only heard rumors about. They were said to live in the far reaches of the galaxy, avoiding contact with other civilizations. "Princess, this is not your fight," Lisa replied. "The hegemony will destroy you if you interfere. The hegemony destroyed our sacred worlds 200 years ago." Lyrian's voice carried pain and anger. "We have been waiting for someone brave enough to stand against them. Your species has shown that courage." More ships appeared on the sensors. These were different from both human and elven vessels. They looked like they were grown rather than built, with organic curves and no visible weapons. A third voice joined, the communication channel. "Human Captain, I am Kexara of the Veltar Collective," the new speaker said. Her voice had an odd harmonic quality. "My people have suffered under hegemony rule for 5 centuries. We offer our technology to aid your Survival. Lisa felt hope stir in her chest for the first time in days. What are you proposing? An alliance, Princess Lyrian said. 3 species united by loss and driven by the need for justice. Together we might be strong enough to make the hegemony pay for their crimes. Maya stepped forward. The hegemony has ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years. They have crushed every rebellion before it could truly begin. Because those rebellions fought alone, Kexara replied. We propose something different. A coalition that combines human adaptability, elven mysticism, and Veltar technology. Lisa looked at the tactical display again. The human evacuation fleet was scattered and vulnerable. Earth was dying behind them. Ahead lay only exile and the hope of survival in the galaxy's outer reaches. But now these alien women were offering something more than mere survival. Where would we go? Lisa asked. The void reaches, Lyrian answered. Ancient asteroid fields where even the hegemony fears to patrol. We can establish hidden bases there and begin planning our response. Lisa made her decision. All human ships, set course for coordinates that Princess Lyrian will provide. We are not just running anymore. We are going to fight back. As the combined fleet of 3 species jumped into hyperspace, Earth finally fell silent behind them. The hegemony had won this battle, but they had also created something they did not expect. They had forged an alliance of the desperate, the angry, and the determined. The galaxy would soon learn that destroying Earth had been their greatest mistake. The asteroid base looked like nothing special from the outside. It was just another floating rock in the vast emptiness of the void reaches. But inside, something remarkable was happening. 3 species that had never worked together before were learning to become one people with a shared purpose. Dr. Amy Foster walked through the corridors carved into the asteroid's heart. The walls showed the work of all 3 species. Human engineering provided the basic structure. Elven biotechnology made the air sweet and clean. Veltar crystal technology provided light that never failed and never grew dim. Amy was a xenobiologist who had been studying alien life forms when Earth fell. Now she had the chance to work directly with 2 completely different intelligent species. It was the opportunity of a lifetime, born from humanity's greatest tragedy. She found Zarathiel in the meditation chamber. The elven mystic sat in perfect stillness, her silver hair flowing around her like liquid moonlight. Her eyes were closed, but Amy knew she was aware of every living thing in the base. The elves had abilities that seemed like magic to human eyes. You may enter, Dr. Foster, Zarathiel said without opening her eyes. Your curiosity burns bright today. Amy smiled and sat across from the elf. I am trying to understand how your people do what you do. Captain Harper says we need to learn each other's strengths if we are going to work together. Zarathiel opened her eyes. They were the color of deep forest pools. What humans call magic is simply science that your people have not yet discovered. We learned long ago to work with the living essence that flows through all things. Kando, you teach me? Amy asked. I can try, Zarathiel replied. But first you must understand that what we do requires patience. Humans think quickly and act quickly. This can be a strength, but it can also be a weakness. In another part of the base, Commander Maya Brooks was having her own learning experience. She stood in a laboratory filled with crystals that hummed with inner light. Kexara, the Veltar scientist, was showing her how their technology worked. Your computers use electricity and metal circuits, Kexara explained. Her voice created harmonic overtones that made the crystals respond. Our technology uses living crystal matrices that grow and adapt. Maya picked up a crystal formation that looked like a miniature tree made of blue glass. How do you program it? We do not program. We communicate, Kexara said. The crystals are not truly alive, but they respond to intention and emotion. Watch. Kexara held a larger crystal and concentrated. The crystal began to glow and project images in the air. Maya saw star charts, ship designs, and tactical information. Your thoughts control it, not control. Partnership, Kexara corrected. The crystal wants to help, just as I want to use its abilities. We work together." Maya stared at the floating images. Human military doctrine was built on rigid command structures and predictable technology. This Veltar approach was completely different. Could we integrate this with human systems? Yes, but it would require changing how humans think about machines, Kexara said. Your people would need to form emotional bonds with their technology. Meanwhile, in the main hangar bay, something even more remarkable was happening. Human engineers were working alongside elven bioshapers and Veltar crystal singers to build new types of ships. These vessels would not belong to any single species. They would be something entirely new. Lisa Harper watched the work with fascination. A human hull was being grown with elven biometal that could repair itself. Veltar crystals were being woven into the ship's nervous system like glowing veins. The result was beautiful and alien, but also somehow familiar. It will be faster than any human ship, Princess Lyrian explained as she joined Lisa. The biometal hull can shift its shape for optimal speed and maneuverability. And stronger than any elven vessel, added Kexara, who had arrived with Maya. The crystal matrix will distribute impact energy across the entire structure. Lisa nodded appreciatively. What will we call this new class of ship? Unity class, Maya suggested, because it represents all of us working together. As the days passed, the three species continued to share knowledge and culture. Humans taught elves about rapid adaptation and creative problem-solving. Elves showed humans how to work with biological systems and natural forces. The Veltar demonstrated the power of emotional harmony and cooperative technology, but the learning went beyond just technical knowledge. In the communal dining areas, humans shared stories of Earth's history while elves sang ancient songs of their lost forest worlds. Veltar created crystal sculptures that showed the beauty of their enslaved homeworld before the hegemony took control. Dr. Amy Foster found herself becoming friends with both Zarathiel and Kexara. The three women spent hours discussing philosophy, science, and dreams for the future. Amy learned that elves lived for thousands of years and thought in terms of centuries. Kexara's people experienced time differently too, with their crystal technology allowing them to store memories and experiences across generations. Humans live such short lives, Zarathiel observed one evening as they shared a meal. But you accomplished so much in your brief time. It is both admirable and tragic. Maybe that is why we adapt so quickly, Amy replied. We know our time is limited, so we cannot afford to be set in our ways. Kexara's crystals chimed softly in what Amy had learned was the Veltar equivalent of laughter. Your species brings urgency to our plans. Without human impatience, we might spend decades preparing while the hegemony grows stronger. The first major breakthrough came when Maya successfully linked human tactical computers with Veltar crystal systems. The hybrid network could process information faster than either technology alone. More importantly, it could learn and adapt in real time, changing strategies based on new information. This changes everything, Maya told Lisa excitedly. We can create battle plans that evolve during combat. The hegemony has never faced anything like this, but it was Zarathiel who provided the most significant discovery. Working with Dr. Amy Foster, she found a way to use elven biotechnology to enhance human reflexes and intuition. It was not magic, but it was close. Humans who underwent the process could react faster and think more clearly under pressure. We are becoming something new, Amy realized as she felt the bio-enhancement take effect. Not human, not elven, not Veltar, but something that combines the best of all three. 2 months after arriving in the Void Reaches, another ship appeared. At their hidden base, it was sleek and predatory, built for speed and stealth. The ship's captain was Nixandra, a reptilian saurian who had defected from the hegemony. I bring intelligence about hegemony fleet movements, she announced to the assembled leaders, and knowledge of their weaknesses. Lisa, Maya, Lyrian, Zarathiel, and Kexara gathered to hear what Nixandra had learned. The Saurian warrior diplomat had spent years serving in hegemony forces before her conscience could no longer bear their cruelty. The hegemony believes you are dead or scattered, Nixandra reported. They think the threat from humanity has been eliminated. This gives you a temporary advantage. What else can you tell us? Maya asked. Their expansion plans, Nixandra replied. The hegemony intends to invade the Andromeda galaxy within 2 years. They see this galaxy as fully conquered. Lisa felt anger burn in her chest. They destroyed Earth just to clear the way for expansion. Yes, but their arrogance is also their weakness, Nixandra continued. They do not expect resistance from defeated species. We can use this against them. As the meeting continued, Amy realized that they were no longer just refugees hiding in the darkness. They were becoming something that could threaten the greatest empire in galactic history. Earth's destruction had been meant to end humanity's story, but instead it had begun a new chapter for the entire galaxy. 2 years had passed since Earth burned, and the hidden asteroid base had grown into something magnificent. What started as carved tunnels had become a sprawling city inside the rock. Gardens filled with elven bioplants provided food and clean air. Veltar crystal networks carried information and power throughout the complex. Human engineering tied it all together with practical efficiency. Admiral Kate Morgan stood in the main command center, watching displays that showed the construction progress of their secret fleet. She had been promoted from captain after proving her tactical brilliance in several small raids against hegemony supply lines. Now she oversaw the most ambitious military project in galactic history. Report on the Unity-class vessels, she requested from her operations officer. 47 ships completed and tested, Admiral, came the reply. Another 30 in final assembly stages. The hybrid technology is performing beyond all expectations. Kate nodded with satisfaction. Each Unity-class ship represented the perfect fusion of 3 species' greatest achievements. Human adaptability had solved countless integration problems. Elven biotechnology made the ships almost alive, able to heal damage and adapt to changing conditions. Veltar crystal systems provided unprecedented computational power and energy efficiency, but the ships were only part of what they had built. In training facilities throughout the asteroid complex, members of all 3 species learned to fight together. Humans learned elven meditation techniques that enhanced their natural reflexes. Elves practiced human tactical flexibility that allowed rapid adaptation to new situations. Veltar warriors discovered how to use their crystal harmony for combat coordination. Captain Lisa Harper was leading one such training session in the main combat simulation chamber. Her students included humans, elves, and Veltar, all working together as a single unit. They moved through a holographic recreation of a hegemony command ship, each species contributing their unique abilities to overcome obstacles. Remember, we are not 3 separate forces fighting the same battle, Lisa called out as her team advanced. We are one force with 3 different types of strength. Zarathiel flowed through a corridor like liquid shadow, her elven abilities allowing her to sense enemies before they could see her. Behind her, a human engineer named Claire used tools that seemed to think for themselves, guided by integrated Veltar crystal technology. A Veltar warrior called Hexara provided support with weapons that fired concentrated crystal energy. The simulation ended with complete success. Lisa's team had penetrated the enemy ship and captured the command center, without losing a single member. More importantly, they had done it in half the time that any single species could have managed alone. Excellent work, Lisa announced. You are beginning to think like the Alliance rather than like separate species. In another part of the base, Commander Maya Brooks was working with Nixandra on intelligence analysis. The Saurian defector had brought detailed information about hegemony military doctrine, supply lines, and political structure. This knowledge was proving invaluable for planning their upcoming campaign. The hegemony has grown complacent, Nixandra explained as she pointed to star charts. They have not faced serious resistance in over 300 years. Their ships are powerful, but their tactics are predictable. Maya studied the information carefully. What about their expansion timeline? You said they plan to invade Andromeda within 2 years. The timeline has been moved up, Nixandra replied grimly. New intelligence suggests they will begin the Andromeda invasion in 8 months. They want to establish bases there before any local species can organize resistance. Maya felt her stomach tighten. That does not give us much time. No, but it also means we know exactly when and where they will be most vulnerable, Nixandra pointed out. Moving an entire invasion fleet requires concentrating forces and exposing supply lines. Meanwhile, in the research laboratories, Dr. Amy Foster was making discoveries that would change the course of the war. Working with Kexara and several human scientists, she had found a way to disrupt hegemony energy shields using modified Veltar, crystal resonance. The hegemony shields operate on specific frequency patterns, Amy explained to the assembled research team. If we can match those frequencies with crystal harmonics, we can create destructive interference. Kexara's crystals hummed with excitement as she processed the implications. This would render their defensive systems useless against our weapons. Exactly, Amy confirmed. But we need to test it under real combat conditions. Princess Lyrian had been overseeing the development of new biological weapon systems. Unlike the destructive technology used by the hegemony, Elven bioweapons were designed to disable rather than destroy. They could shut down enemy systems without killing the crews, potentially turning hegemony ships into prizes rather than debris. We do not need to match their cruelty, Lyrian explained to a group of human military officers. Victory through honor serves our cause better than victory through brutality. The first real test of their new capabilities came when long-range scouts detected a hegemony supply convoy passing near their sector. Admiral Kate Morgan assembled a strike force of 12 Unity-class ships for their first major operation. Lisa Harper commanded the lead ship, with crew members from all three species working together on the bridge. The ship itself seemed to respond to their combined intentions, its biometal hull shifting and adapting as they approached their target. Enemy convoy consists of 6 cargo vessels and 4 escort ships, reported the tactical officer. They are following standard hegemony formation patterns. Just as Nixandra predicted, Lisa observed, they have not changed their procedures in decades. The attack came without warning. The Unity-class ships appeared from hyperspace in perfect formation, their crystal weapons charging while bio-enhanced hulls configured for optimal combat performance. The hegemony escorts were caught completely off guard. Veltar crystal beams punched through energy shields that had been designed to stop conventional weapons. Elven biomissiles wrapped around enemy hulls and began shutting down systems from the inside. Human tactical coordination kept the attack perfectly synchronized, preventing the enemy from mounting an effective response. Within 10 minutes, the entire convoy was captured intact. 6 massive cargo ships filled with hegemony military supplies, and 4 escort vessels that could be studied for intelligence purposes. Most importantly, they had achieved this victory without losing a single ship or crew member. This is just the beginning, Admiral Kate Morgan announced to the fleet. We have proven that our unity makes us stronger than the sum of our parts. But the real significance of the victory became clear when they examined the captured cargo. The supply ships contained advanced weaponry intended for the Andromeda invasion fleet. More disturbing were the orders they found in the escort ship's computers. They are planning to sterilize entire star systems in Andromeda, Maya reported, after analyzing the data. Complete destruction of any species that might pose a future threat. Zarathiel's expression darkened with anger. They learned nothing from what they did to Earth. They intend to repeat this horror on an even larger scale. The intelligence forced them to accelerate their own timeline. What they had planned as a gradual campaign to liberate oppressed species would now have to become an all-out assault on hegemony power. They had 8 months to build a force capable of stopping the greatest military machine in galactic history. Send messages to every species that has suffered under hegemony rule, Admiral Kate Morgan ordered. Tell them that the time for hiding is over. We are going to war and we need every ally we can find. Dr. Amy Foster looked at the tactical displays, showing hegemony force deployments across the galaxy. Can we really do this? They have ruled for 1,000 years. They ruled because no one challenged them effectively, Lisa replied. But they have never faced anything like what we have become. Kexara's crystals chimed with harmonic resonance as the Veltar expressed agreement. We are no longer the same species that they defeated. We have become something new. Princess Lyrian nodded solemnly. The galaxy will see that unity is stronger than tyranny. Earth's sacrifice will not be meaningless. As preparations for the galactic rebellion intensified, messages began arriving from across known space. Dozens of oppressed species were ready to join the fight. The hegemony had created their own destruction by ruling through fear and cruelty. Now that fear was turning into righteous anger, and anger was becoming organized resistance, the shadows were gathering, but this time they gathered around hope rather than despair. The galaxy was about to discover what happened when the desperate, the angry, and the determined learned to fight as one. The rebellion began at exactly the same moment across 17 star systems. Admiral Kate Morgan had planned the coordinated attack down to the last second, using Veltar crystal networks to synchronize timing across vast distances. The hegemony had ruled through overwhelming force and fear for 1,000 years. Today they would learn what happened when that fear finally broke. Captain Lisa Harper stood on the bridge of her flagship as it dropped out of hyperspace above the hegemony's primary shipyard complex. The massive orbital stations stretched for hundreds of kilometers, building the warships that kept the galaxy under control. Today, those shipyards would burn. All ships begin attack pattern Unity 7, Lisa ordered into her communication system. Around her flagship, 40 Unity-class vessels materialized from hyperspace in perfect formation. Their biometal hulls gleamed like living things, while Veltar crystals charged their weapons with deadly energy. The hegemony response was immediate but confused. Alarms echoed across their communications channels as commanders tried to understand what they were seeing. The enemy ships moved unlike anything in their tactical databases. They flowed and adapted like living creatures while firing weapons that punched through shields designed to stop any known technology. "Impossible," transmitted one hegemony captain. "These are the species we destroyed. They cannot have this technology." Lisa smiled grimly as she heard the intercepted communication. "They are about to learn how wrong they are," she told her crew. "Target the main construction bays. Let us show them what Unity can accomplish." Crystal beams lanced out from the Alliance fleet, each shot precisely aimed to disable rather than destroy. Elven biomissiles wrapped around critical systems and began shutting down power networks. Human tactical coordination kept the attack flowing like a deadly dance, each ship covering others while maximizing damage to the enemy. Meanwhile, in the Sylvani system, Princess Lyrian Starweave led her bioships in a very different kind of attack. Her vessels seemed to phase in and out of normal space, using elven mystical technology that bent the laws of physics. Hegemony sensors could not track targets that existed partially outside normal reality. "The ancestors guide our path," Lyrian whispered as her ship danced between enemy weapons fire. "For the sacred groves that burned, for the worlds that were silenced, today we restore balance." Her bioships released clouds of organic nanites that began converting hegemony vessels from the inside out. Metal hulls sprouted flowering vines, while weapon systems transformed into harmless art installations. The enemy crews found themselves breathing sweet air and walking through garden corridors instead of sterile military passageways. "What is happening to our ships?" demanded a hegemony admiral. "Our hulls are becoming forests." "Consider it a gift," Lyrian replied over the communication channel. "Your vessels now serve life instead of death." In the Veltar home system, Kexara led the crystal ships in liberating her people from 5 centuries of slavery. The hegemony had used Veltar crystal technology for their own purposes while treating the creators as property. Today, that injustice would end. Crystal singers, harmonize. "For freedom!" Kexara called out as her fleet approached the prison complexes. Millions of Veltar had been forced to work in crystal mines and manufacturing centers, their natural abilities exploited by their oppressors. The Veltar ships sang in perfect harmony, their crystal hulls resonating with frequencies that shattered. Hegemony control systems. Prison barriers dissolved like morning mist while transport ships prepared to carry liberated Veltar to safety. But many chose to stay and fight, their crystal technology turning hegemony weapons against their former masters. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out as oppressed species rose up together. The rebellion that had started with 3 desperate civilizations had grown into a galactic uprising. Dozens of species that had suffered under hegemony rule were finally fighting back with unified purpose. Commander Maya Brooks coordinated the diplomatic aspects of the rebellion from the Alliance Command Center. Messages flooded in from across. Known space as neutral species realized what was happening. Some offered support. Others demanded that the Alliance stop their attacks. All were forced to choose sides in a conflict that would reshape the galaxy. The Andromedans are cutting off all trade with the hegemony, Maya reported to Admiral Kate Morgan. They fear becoming the next target of expansion. Good, Kate replied. Economic pressure will compound our military victories, but the hegemony was not defenseless. Their core worlds began mobilizing reserve fleets, while emergency protocols activated automated defense systems. The empire that had conquered a galaxy would not fall without a fierce struggle. Dr. Amy Foster monitored the battle reports from her position in the Alliance Research Center. The new technologies were performing beyond expectations, but she could see patterns in the hegemony response that worried her. They are adapting faster than we predicted, she told Zarathiel, who had joined her to observe the campaign. Some of their ships are already showing resistance to our crystal weapons. The hegemony has survived for 1,000 years by learning from their enemies, Zarathiel replied. But they have never faced enemies who could adapt as quickly as we can. The truth of that statement became clear when hegemony forces tried to counterattack at the Rigel shipyards. Their ships moved in traditional formations using predictable tactics. The Alliance fleet, commanded by Lisa Harper, simply flowed around their attacks like water around stones. They are fighting the last war, Lisa observed as she watched enemy ships struggling to target vessels that changed shape and behavior in real time. We are fighting the next one. The battle for Rigel became a masterclass in Alliance tactical superiority. Human adaptability kept the enemy guessing. Elven biotechnology allowed ships to heal damage faster than it could be inflicted. Veltar crystal networks let the entire fleet think and react as a single organism. When the smoke cleared, the hegemony had lost 12 major shipyards and dozens of warships. The Alliance had captured vast amounts of equipment and freed millions of enslaved workers. Most importantly, they had shattered the myth of hegemony invincibility. Attention all hegemony forces. Admiral Kate Morgan broadcast on all frequencies. Your empire is built on fear and oppression. Today, the galaxy sees that you can be defeated. Surrender now, and your crews will be treated with mercy. The response came from the hegemony Supreme Commander himself. You are insects buzzing around giants. We have crushed rebellions before, and we will crush this one. With respect, Commander, Kate replied calmly. Those rebellions fought alone. We fight together. As if to prove her point, reports arrived of hegemony defeats in 7 more systems. The rebellion was spreading faster than enemy forces could respond. Ancient grievances that had festered for centuries were finally being addressed with coordinated action. Princess Lyrian's forces had liberated 4 elven sacred worlds, replanting bioforests that would restore the spiritual heart of her people. Kexara's crystal singers had freed 3 major Veltar populations, adding their voices to the harmony of revolution. Human tactical expertise had turned defensive actions into offensive victories across a dozen systems. But it was Nixandra who brought the most significant intelligence. The Saurian warrior diplomat had intercepted communications from the hegemony core worlds that revealed their ultimate response to the rebellion. They are activating the Andromeda weapon early, she reported to the Alliance leadership. Rather than wait for the invasion fleet. They plan to use it against us. Maya felt ice form in her stomach. What kind of weapon? Something they built to sterilize entire star systems before colonization, Nixandra replied. It can destroy all life in a solar system within hours. Admiral Kate Morgan stared at the tactical displays showing rebel victories across the galaxy. Those victories would mean nothing if the hegemony could simply erase star systems that opposed them. Where is this weapon located? The hegemony core world of Tyrannos Prime, Nixandra answered. It is the most heavily defended system in their empire. Lisa Harper joined the emergency planning session via communication link from her flagship. How much time do we have? Intelligence suggests they need 6 weeks to modify the weapon for use against populated systems, Nixandra replied. It was designed to destroy uninhabited worlds. Then we have 6 weeks to win this war completely, Admiral Kate Morgan declared. Signal all Alliance forces. We are taking the fight to their home. Dr. Amy Foster looked at the star charts, showing the route to Tyrannos Prime. It will be the most heavily defended target in galactic history. They will throw everything they have at us. Good, Zarathiel said with quiet intensity. Then we will show them everything we have become. As Alliance forces across the galaxy received new orders to converge on the hegemony heartland, Princess Lyrian sent a message to all liberated species. The fires of freedom burn across the stars. One final battle will determine whether that fire spreads to every world or is extinguished forever. The rebellion had succeeded beyond all expectations, but the true test was still to come. At Tyrannos Prime, the Alliance would face the concentrated power of an empire that had ruled for a millennium. The outcome would determine the fate of 2 galaxies and billions of lives. The Tyrannos Prime system blazed with the light of 1,000 warships. The hegemony had gathered every available vessel to defend their core world and the ultimate weapon that could destroy entire star systems. Admiral Kate Morgan stood in the command center of the Alliance flagship, watching displays that showed the largest space battle in galactic history about to begin. "Final fleet count, Admiral," reported her operations officer. "We have 847 ships from 32 different species. The hegemony has over 1,500 vessels defending the system." Kate nodded calmly. Numbers had never been the Alliance's advantage. Their strength lay in unity, adaptability, and technologies that the enemy could not fully understand or counter. Today they would prove that those advantages could overcome any odds. "Signal all ships," Kate ordered. "Execute planned convergence across the Alliance fleet." Vessels from dozens of species moved into attack formation. Unity-class ships with their hybrid technology led the assault wings. Elven bioships flowed like living things between formations. Veltar crystal vessels sang in harmony as their weapons charged. Ships from newly liberated species added their own unique capabilities to the magnificent array. Captain Lisa Harper commanded the spearhead force that would attempt to penetrate the hegemony's innermost defenses. Her mission was the most dangerous. In the entire battle, she would lead a small strike team directly to the ultimate weapon, while the main fleet engaged the defending forces. "Remember, we are not just fighting for victory," Lisa told her crew over the ship's communication system. "We are fighting for the right of every species to live free from tyranny." The battle began when Princess Lyrian's bioships launched the first attack. They seemed to appear from nowhere, phasing through normal space using elven mystical technology that bent reality itself. Hegemony sensors screamed warnings as targets appeared inside their defensive perimeter without crossing the space between. "Impossible," transmitted a hegemony commander. "They are violating the laws of physics." "Your laws," Lyrian replied serenely as her ships released clouds of bio-nanites. "The universe has deeper truths than your science recognizes." The bio-nanites began converting hegemony vessels from the inside out, turning weapons into flowering gardens and sterile corridors into living ecosystems. But this was only the beginning. The real assault came when Kexara's crystal ships added their voices to the battle. Veltar vessels sang in perfect harmony, their crystal hulls resonating with frequencies that made space itself ring like a vast bell. The harmonic weapon had been Kexara's greatest contribution to Alliance technology. It could disrupt enemy shields, jam communications, and even affect the mental state of opposing crews. "The crystals sing of freedom," Kexara announced as her fleet advanced. "Listen, and hear the music of justice." Hegemony ships found their systems failing as crystal harmonics interfered with their technology. Worse, their crews began experiencing visions of the species they had oppressed, the worlds they had destroyed, and the lives they had ruined. The weapon attacked not just their ships, but their consciences. Meanwhile, Admiral Kate Morgan led the main Alliance fleet in a frontal assault, designed to draw attention from Lisa's infiltration mission. Human tactical doctrine emphasized mobility and unpredictability. Alliance ships struck like lightning, hit hard, and moved before the enemy could respond effectively. "All ships, pattern Delta 9, Kate ordered as hegemony reinforcements tried to surround her forces. "Show them what real coordination looks like." The Alliance fleet moved like a single organism with many parts. Ships covered each other perfectly while maximizing damage to enemy formations. When hegemony vessels tried to concentrate fire on individual targets, they found themselves shooting at empty space as their opponents flowed away like water. Dr. Amy Foster monitored the battle from her position aboard the mobile research vessel. Her job was to coordinate the technical aspects of the assault, ensuring that Alliance technologies worked together seamlessly. She watched with fascination as 3 years of preparation paid off in perfect execution. Crystal resonance is disrupting their shield harmonics, she reported. Bioweapons are causing system failures across their fleet. Human tactical coordination is preventing them from mounting an effective response. But the hegemony was far from defenseless. They had ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years by being utterly ruthless in the application of overwhelming force. Massive dreadnought ships began emerging from defensive positions around Tyrannos Prime itself, each one capable of destroying entire fleets. New contacts, called out a sensor operator. 12 hegemony super dreadnoughts approaching from the planet. Kate felt her stomach tighten. Each super dreadnought mounted enough firepower to level continents. Together they represented a force that could crush the Alliance fleet through sheer destructive power, but she had planned for this possibility. Signal Group 7, she ordered. Execute sacrifice protocol. Across the Alliance fleet, volunteer crews in specially modified ships began their final mission. These vessels had been converted into massive bombs using captured hegemony antimatter technology. Their crews were heroes who had chosen to give their lives to ensure victory. For Earth, transmitted the captain of the lead sacrifice ship as his vessel accelerated toward the nearest super dreadnought. For all the worlds that were lost, the massive explosions that followed turned space itself into a blazing inferno. 3 super dreadnoughts vanished in antimatter fire, while others were crippled by the coordinated assault. The sacrifice of a few hundred volunteers had eliminated the hegemony's most dangerous weapons. While the main battle raged, Lisa Harper's strike team approached the ultimate weapon itself. The device was a massive space station in orbit around Tyrannos Prime, bristling with defenses and surrounded by the hegemony's most elite ships. Getting close enough to destroy it seemed impossible. There, Zarathiel said from her position at the sensor station. A maintenance tunnel that leads directly to the weapon's core. Lisa stared at the tactical display. The tunnel was barely wide enough for a single ship and was certainly guarded by automated defenses. That is suicide. Perhaps for a normal ship, Zarathiel replied with a mysterious smile, but not for us. Lisa's ship was more than just a Unity-class vessel. It had been specially modified with the most advanced biotechnology, crystal systems, and human engineering available. As they approached the tunnel, the ship began to change shape, flowing like liquid metal until it resembled an organic creature rather than a mechanical construct. The ship slipped through defenses designed to stop traditional vessels. Biometal. Hull absorbed energy weapons while crystal matrices confused targeting systems. Human adaptability allowed the crew to improvise solutions to problems they had never trained for. Incredible, transmitted a hegemony controller. What are we looking at? The future, Lisa replied as her ship reached the weapons core chamber. Inside the chamber, they found something that horrified them all. The ultimate weapon was powered by the life force of enslaved Veltar, thousands of crystal singers forced to harmonize with destructive frequencies. Their combined voices could indeed destroy star systems, but at the cost of their own lives. Monsters, Kexara whispered as she saw her people chained to the weapon. They are using our gift for music to create death. Not anymore, Zarathiel said grimly. She began working with the imprisoned Veltar, teaching them how to reverse the harmonic flow. Instead of projecting destruction outward, they would turn the weapon's power against itself. The plan worked perfectly. The ultimate weapon began to resonate with frequencies that tore it apart from the inside. Explosions ripped through the massive station as stored energy turned inward instead of outward. The device that could have sterilized galaxies became its own destruction. As the weapon exploded, something remarkable happened throughout the hegemony fleet. The ships that had fought with such determination suddenly lost their will to continue. Their crews realized that without the ultimate weapon, they were fighting for an empire that could no longer protect them through fear. Attention all vessels, Admiral Kate Morgan broadcast across all frequencies. The hegemony's ultimate weapon is destroyed. Your empire can no longer threaten entire species with extinction. Surrender now and help us build something better. The response came not from military commanders, but from ordinary crew members throughout the hegemony fleet. Ship after ship announced that they were laying down arms. The rebellion had become a revolution, and the revolution was spreading to the heart of the empire itself. Tyrannos Prime Control, this is Captain Lisa Harper, Lisa transmitted as she led her team away from the destroyed weapon. Your ultimate weapon is gone. Your fleet is surrendering. Your empire is finished. Impossible, came the reply from the planetary government. The hegemony has ruled for 1,000 years. And now it will rule for 0 more days, Princess Lyrian added to the communication. The age of tyranny is over. The surrender of Tyrannos Prime marked the end of the hegemony as a galactic power. Ships throughout their territory were laying down arms while oppressed species declared independence. The empire that had seemed invincible was collapsing faster than anyone had imagined possible.